those big, beautiful rainbows. That's what trolling flies can do. You think trolling flies don't work? Well, think again. You need to grab a set of my trolling flies, get out on the water, and get ready to go big. Yes! Howdy folks, Kel Kellogg here. It's time to do another lake profile, and you can probably see if you live in the Sacramento area, you know this lake. We are out on Folsom Reservoir, Folsom Lake. It is a lake we all love to hate. It can be extremely tough, especially for trout and king salmon anglers. However, the rewards can be great. We'll talk a little bit about the species more in depth in a second, but there's king salmon in here and there's rainbow trout in here. Those are the notable species for cold water trollers. Of course, it's a fantastic bass fishery. I'll touch on that a bit. And it's a great sleeper channel catfish lake, and that's very interesting. Not a lot of guys are doing that. I'll tell you how to catch those. And it's very unique. But let's start off with the trout and the kings. First of all, king salmon, they have a spawning population here. They're spawning in the American River. You're going to catch kings out here anywhere from 14 inches to 7 pounds. My personal best, I didn't weigh it. It was 27.5 inches, totally random. I've never caught more than 2 kings on a trip out here. So, you know, typical Folsom, the fish can be very nice, but it's hard to do numbers, and it's hard, you know, it's hard to put together a limit. On the rainbow trout side, there's really 2 kinds of rainbows in Folsom. There are the planter rainbows. Some of them die, some of them are caught, some of them survive. There's also a population of American River steelhead that were impounded when they built the dam in the 50s. They still spawn in the tributaries, and when you get one on your line, those fish will range up to about 5 pounds. There's no mistaking them. They're chrome, they're insane when they fight, they jump, they've got square tails, they don't look like the other rainbows. So those are, you know, native American River steelhead that are living in the reservoir. Pond smelt, that fuels this fishery for all the species. Whether we're talking about, it's like I got a phone call, let me get rid of this guy. Pond smelt fuel this fishery. It's Mark Fong. If you read the Fish Sniffer, he's probably calling me with an article. Anyway, pond smelt fuel this fishery for everything. Catfish, crappie, there are a few crappie out here, trout, salmon, everything feeds on pond smelt. So, and that leads us into our trout lures. Whenever I get out here on Folsom, I start off aggressive, and I start off with some very basic lures. The large 1/4 ounce speedy shiners, they're fantastic. It's a great big fish lure. You want to troll these all the way up to 4 miles an hour, not much below 2.5 miles an hour. The other lure is the smaller version of the same lure, the 1/6 ounce, 2.5 to 3.5. Copper is great, silver tones are great. Copper is surprisingly good out here. I don't know why, but I've caught a lot of nice fish on copper speedies. The third hardware type lure is your 1/2 ounce humdinger in the bait fish colors. The Captain America, the shad patterns, my favorite, you know, the chrome and blue. Those all work. They don't work every day, but that's what you want to be using when you're trolling aggressive. In the winter time, if fish are up closer to the surface, sometimes I'll top line a Yozuri El Minnow. Pattern doesn't seem to matter that much. Rainbow trout pattern's good, chromes are good. But start off fast trolling, give that an hour or 2, see if you can pick up fish. You know, I'm looking at the sonar unit at the Humminbird right behind West now. It's lit up with fish. Very common at Folsom. There's fish, there's bait, but a lot of times they don't bite. That's why we get frustrated out here. Now, when that fast stuff doesn't work, it's time to slow down. The number 1 presentation for rainbows when you have to slow down is a small dodger. In this case, this is one of my my Diamondback dodgers. This is a great dodger for running between 1.8 and 1 mile an hour. I've got it rigged up with a slow death hook. I'm gonna put a threaded worm on there. Sepp Strike Masters work great, as do your flashers, your Max Flashlight flashers, your Vance's flashers, flasher and a worm. It's basic. Peg your speed at 1.5, work the depth with that. That is your kind of your fail safe when you can't catch fish on the speedy stuff. If you want to go after kings and you need to slow down, there's very few lures better than a gulp minnow behind a sling blade dodger. They just work. Hoochies work too, but I really like the gulp minnows. As you can see, I mean, that looks like a pond smelt. And the king salmon, they love that gulp scent. I remember a few years ago, commercial salmon guys were actually buying those big tubs of gulp minnows, throwing all the baits away and brining their anchovies in that gulp solution. When commercial guys are doing that, you know it's effective. So kings like gold. If you find marks on structure out here and you want to stop trolling, you think you're seeing kings or you're seeing bass, sometimes rainbows, don't be afraid to drop a P-line laser minnow down, jig that vertically, color doesn't matter. This is like a rainbow pattern one. It could be all lead colored. Color doesn't matter, it's a reaction strike. But jigging, you know, the bass guys out here that work spoons, they catch some very nice kings working that structure. Kings gravitate to structure, so do big rainbows. So it's kind of end up here, the trout discussion about talking about different sections of the lake. Personally, I've never had great luck in the South Fork, but I know guys do. In fact, if you look around online, I'm not sure what the guy's name is. There's a guy on YouTube that was plugging for bass up there in the South Fork. Picked up like a 9-pound brown of all things. He's got it live on camera. Incredible footage. If I can ever find the link to that, I'll share it to the channel here. But there are trout in the South Fork. For me, king salmon, it's a main body thing. Working the river channel where the two rivers, you know, converge out there. The two river channels converge. That's where I've had my best luck. That's where I got the 27-incher. For rainbows, I like to work the North Fork. I like to work the North Fork right where we are now, from where it starts to narrow out from the main body all the way up to the Rattlesnake Ramp. We call that area above Anderson Island, which when the lake's high, it's an island. When the lake's low, it's just a big peninsula. We call that the Straits. If you live in Auburn and you say, I'm fishing the Straits at Folsom, that's what you're talking about. I've had tremendous luck in that area at times. The best trout fishing out here, November, March, April, that's when I've had my best luck. Dead of winter, you can come out here and drift minnows under a slip bobber, and you can do very well on trout. Anchor the boat, work the clay banks, work anywhere from 10 to 20 feet deep. Hard part now is getting the minnows. They're just not readily available. But I did that for years, and that was a lot of fun. Bass, soft plastics, that works out here. Your wacky rig Senkos, your split shot and worms. You can get topwater action. You can get them on crankbaits, all that stuff. Plastics are king. There's a lot of 3-pound spots in this lake. It's a lot of fun, especially in the spring when they're fat and stupid and you're up on the bank. Catch a lot of fish. It's awesome. Let's finish up with those catfish. There are huge channel cats in here that range anywhere from 3 to 15 pounds. The big ones are horrible to eat. I'm telling you right now, they taste like a rubber shoe, but man, do they pull. And don't think they're always on the bottom. Remember, they're eating those pond smelt. I fish them with big sardine fillets. I fillet a sardine fish, half a fillet. Sometimes I fish on the bottom. More often than not, I'm using the sonar and I'm targeting suspended fish. Lots of times, if you see a big suspended mark on structure around bait, it's a channel cat. Put that line down there with a split shot on it. You'll just be drifting along thinking this is crazy, this is silly, and your rod will just bury itself. One of the bigger catfish I caught out here was 12 pounds. I caught him 18 feet deep over about 70 feet of water. I caught him on a whole dead bluegill. So that just goes to show you, it's a sleeper. If we were going to do that right now, it's late August, it's almost September. If we had some sardines, we could pull up into these coves and we could catch a double-digit catfish. It's a lot of fun. They're here. I catch and release them. If you catch the smaller ones, they're fantastic eating. But let the big ones go. They're just big. Well, they're the lingcod of this lake. But anyway, it's kind of the size of Folsom. The lake is subject to big drawdowns. You know, the water gets high in the spring, then it draws way down. This year it's staying very high, but we just had a ton of snow. The snow is still melting, all that. But it's close. It's the lake we love to hate. It's full of big fish. The trick is getting them to go. It can be very challenging, but the rewards can be great. Anyhow, this is Kel Kellogg. I'm signing off for now. I'll be coming back at you again with another fishing destination next week. I hope this helps you a little bit at Folsom. Beyond, you know, the basics I just told you, it's all about putting in your time, fishing with confidence, work the marks, and it's going to happen. You just got to put in your time.